specifically about that. Chaotic leadership is about embracing problems and difficulties and turning them into a real opportunity, into a true space where I can say, this is the chance to grow. I just want you to consider the following example I'm about to give you. Can you imagine if the problems that sometimes feel so frustrating to you or that cause so many delays in getting things done actually became a driving force instead? Just think about what I'm telling you. Can you imagine if every problem, not that you would go looking for problems, but if every problem and every difficulty became a push forward for you instead of a setback? I know that many of us constantly, well, when a problem comes up, we say, no, I have to be resilient, I have to be strong, I have to be this, I have to be that. And yes, that's fine, but it's not enough because you suffer and it's your feelings that keep you from moving forward, right? So you react with anger. Let's use an example. Someone lets you down or betrays you, or someone said one thing and then did something else. Someone promised you something and broke that promise. So the question is, what would happen if you could turn that sense of frustration or that difficulty in your life into motivation? In other words, if you could truly, under this ideology that I'm trying to introduce or instill in you, use it as fuel to move forward much faster. And that in reality, the feeling you have, it's not about eliminating it. Because the advice people usually give you is that you shouldn't take it personally, that you should just forget about it. And no, that's not it. It's more about transforming that feeling, that anger, that sadness, turning it into a positive conversation with yourself and using it to empower yourself. It's something like when, let me give you an example. They challenge you or talk about you, or for instance, people start speaking badly about you while you're doing, say, this business that we're involved in, and then people start speaking badly about the business itself. And then so suddenly they say to you, you're always getting into those kinds of businesses and you don't care what people think. For example, people have said to me, you already know how that's going to turn out, and the only one who's going to benefit here is you. That's when I can take it in two ways. And it's not someone who's just met you recently saying this, it's someone very close to you, and yes, that's when they start to judge you, because that's the problem. When there's a very close bond, that's when it hurts the most, right? So recently, for example, an aunt of mine let me down, but she really let me down badly. Like, it was terrible. I just didn't see it coming. No, I didn't see it coming at all. Yeah, because you can expect anything from anyone. But with her, I said, no, impossible. There's no way she could do something like that to me. And yes, of course, it hurt me a lot. Just imagine, she was supposed to be there for me. And at some point she had supported me, she had helped me. And I thought, I saw her as my second mom, and I said, no, no, this can't be happening. And yes, in fact, she had been motivated for a long time. She was in a very destructive conversation, but for me, it became a driving force. She thinks that it affected me, or she thinks that she defeated me, and and this is where I want to share this key point from this first chapter. And that is, chaotic leadership does not seek approval or to be understood. It doesn't look for perfect order. Normally, your family is not supposed to let you down. Has your family ever let you down? Has any family member ever let you down? Hey, that really hurts. That really does hurt. I'm telling you this because um it happened to me. It happened to me, and it's something that I still remember, but I remember it with a lot of love. I remember it fondly because for me it was a push like this can't be happening to me. But yes, it happened to me, and what I did was embrace that chaos, you know? And take it as an opportunity for growth and see all the positives in the situation I was going through. And instead, of course, for a moment, I felt sadness, pain, anger. I even felt like crying. But what I really want to tell you is that you can't just dream that life around you has to bow at your feet. Because you see, honestly, opportunities don't simply come to you. Opportunities are created, and they're created in the midst of chaos, where you turn that problem into an opportunity. But not just once, not just because you're in this course and so you'll do it or not, but it becomes a way of life. I've had this information for a very long time. And only now am I try to organize my ideas and started gathering more information because ultimately this isn't just my own conversation. Yes, this is something much deeper than that. Great figures in the industry and great figures around the world have said this. And this knowledge has been around for decades and years, and it has been used commercially. And this episode is about that first, to give you the information so that you can start to embrace it and use it in everything that's happening in your lives. Okay? How are we doing so far, guys? How are we doing so far? Someone here says, what you believe you create, the universe is mental, is one of the Hermetic laws. Yes, very good, Stuart. So, this movement we're creating here, which is just getting started, we need to start bringing it to more people. And you know what's beautiful about this? Do you know what's beautiful? That everyone is suited for this movement. Do you know why? Because everyone's life is chaotic. So when you tell someone, I'm not gonna try to fix your chaos. Yes, because what do people usually do out there? What is it? Oh, you're in trouble? I have the solution. No, it's about telling them, would you like to be part of or strengthen that chaos? How, wait, I'm trying to get out of the chaos. I'm trying to get out of the problem. What if I told you there's a movement called chaotic leadership? And what is it about? It's about taking that chaos to a level where you turn it into energy, where you turn it into a constant source of energy for your life. Chaotic leadership aims to deepen the skills that are developed. Look, I'm going to give you an example and tell you a story that happened to me. And I said this out of frustration. And I also remember it very fondly because it happened to me when I was very young. And I want to share something with you. And I'm going to share something very personal, but I want you to see the power of this chaotic leadership, which has been with me my whole life and which unconsciously I have applied, but now what I want is to pass it on, to give it meaning, and to make it even stronger. When I was 10 years old, no, when I was 12 years old, my sister was about, no, I was exactly 13 years old, and my sister was 2. And I remember that there was a time we went to eat somewhere near where my parents live, and I had gone by bicycle. They had gone by car, and I had gone by bicycle. And well, from the house to the place we went to where I went by bicycle, honestly, it took about an hour and a half, and it was all uphill. I was really tired. I could barely keep going. Many times I had to get off the bike and all that. And well, we finally made it to the top. And suddenly my parents said to me, well, why don't we stop for lunch? So, yes, we stopped to have lunch. We stopped for lunch, and I remember very well that there were some swings there, but those metal swings, and they serve us. They serve us the food, and I don't know why. I can't remember. What I do remember is that we moved from that table, we switched to another table. And well, my sister was 2 years old. I was 2 years, and I was walking by. I had food in my hands. I was her protector. I was her bodyguard. And my mom and dad also had things because we were carrying stuff. We were moving from one table to another. Suddenly, I saw her running, heard her running, and she ran right into those swings. She ran without looking at anything at all. The swing was made of metal, and it hit her in the face and sent her, it made her fly through the air. My sister flew, yes, and we were left. I mean, I was completely devastated at that moment, and I felt so angry because I should have let go. I saw it. I saw how she put herself between the swings, and well, I didn't go to save her because I had food in my hands. I was really tired at that moment, extremely. I didn't want to ride my bike anymore. I said no. I told my dad, no, let's take her in the car because I'm not going to ride anymore. But my parents have to take her to the hospital, right? And I have to go back by bike from that place. It took me an hour and a half to get there, but I was so angry, so furious for not having saved her. And I grabbed that bike and head back, and no lie, I get there in like 45 minutes. Uh, you following what I'm telling you right now? Do you understand what I'm telling you right now? That strength, that energy, that anger that comes from frustration, from rage, I turned it into fuel, and it gave me a boost that definitely I had never experienced before. So, what I want to emphasize to you right now is that there are unconscious mechanisms, or conscious ones for some, that have suppressed that strength, have suppressed that drive. And that drive influences our decisions, but in a negative way. That is an example of how that frustration, that anger I had, I unleashed it on a bicycle, and it gave me strength when I was completely exhausted, when I said I couldn't go on anymore. I wasn't going to pedal any further, but the circumstances pushed me to do it. I know that on many occasions in your life, you have had to find strength, and that strength has helped you get back up little by little, little by little. But no, this is about completely breaking the mold, about having something happen to you and immediately taking positive action. And with that strength, and with that emotion it generates in you, whether it's sadness, pain, or a lot of anger, you can use it as a driving force to grow much faster. I don't know if I've made myself clear so far with what I've said, and I would like one of those present to share a bit of their thoughts about what I'm talking about right now, and give me their opinion. Raise your hand and I'll unmute you. so you can tell me if what I'm saying makes sense to you at this moment. Yes? How's it going? How's it going? How's the conversation going? Really great. This is what I've wanted to share for a very long time, and ultimately is what I want to keep talking to you all about for each one of you. Let's see if anyone feels like joining in. I think someone is writing to me. Martin says, as we say on social media, sometimes the hate isn't about the bad things people say, but it is an opportunity to grow because more people will be with you and give you the strength to communicate. Very good. Yes, but beyond that, I want us to go even further than that. No, it's not. I want you to understand that it's not about positive thinking, and you have to be strong. And on top of that, you have to understand that people will always talk about you. That the higher you rise, the more you're going to, the more you're gonna shine. Let's overshadow them. No, 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 no. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. When we talk about chaotic leadership, it's about turning the chaos in your life into a single opportunity where the good, the positive things that happen to you obviously will give you life, will give you momentum, right? But the bad things that happen to you will give you even more. It's about letting go of the fear, that uncertainty and hopelessness creating you, and embracing it. Many of us here take action. We're in the business, right? We're working at it, but we're afraid. We're afraid that suddenly down, I'm afraid that it might fail. I'm afraid that it might stop working. I'm afraid then that's why I don't give it my all. But if you focus on the movement we're creating, you understand that there is a mentality and an ideology of a community where all of us will endure over time, and where we won't be based solely on a business opportunity, where our feelings won't be tied only to a business opportunity, but rather to a movement that we all belong to, and where chaos, if it happens, will be an opportunity for us. No, no, no. This is very deep. That's way too deep. All right, Catherine, go ahead. Jump in and tell us you were raising your hand, share your comment with us. It says here, I see it as the psychological work I do on myself. When something goes wrong, I tell myself that no one can beat me because there is no one like me, that I am unique, that I am perfect. That's exactly it, basically. I mean, what you're saying is very true, Stuart. But I want you to focus on what I just said for a moment. This movement and this community, which are built on shared values and collective purpose, prevail above a name or a person and rise above any single company or individual identity. It is a life ideology. At the end of chapter 30, I'm going to tell you something so that you know. Chapter 29, this is a book. We are writing, right now we are writing a book. This book is being written, just so you know. Chapter 1 is the introduction to chaotic leadership, which is what we are doing right now, right? And I want to tell you a little bit about where we are headed so that you know. In chapter 29, as well as in chapter 30, we will be exploring and working on these topics together. We are going to create all of them step by step as a group all together. And we are going to create chapter 29 and chapter 30 at the military camp that we will have for chaotic leadership with purpose, which will take place near a city called La Mesa, Cundinamarca, close to Bogota. We already have the location, and this chapter will be written with your close team. In other words, during this format, we have sessions on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. From here to there are 30 spaces, but the last two intersect with our camp. We will write those two as a team, and everyone present will be part of this book that we will write about chaotic leadership. So the idea is to fill this room with 300 people. who are the same ones that will be at the military camp, right? In that military camp, look, I'm not trying to sell you on the military camp, but I promise you that you'll arrive there as one person and live as a superhero because of everything we're going to do, right? I've been able to participate in many high impact trainings and activities, all of which have genuinely allowed me to develop the ability to directly confront people with things they fear and to gradually turn that into invaluable information that becomes intrinsic to you, information that stays deep in your subconscious and that you'll be able to consciously activate whenever you require it most. If we worked, or if you could see things the way I have through these trainings and through this acquired knowledge, I assure you the path would be much easier to move forward on. It would be much easier to understand things. Consequently, you would progress much faster. Chapter 2 talks about that. It talks about the case that we keep ourselves in, right? Chapter 3 talks about fear, but about how fear becomes fuel, right? Chapter 4 talks about illusion, the illusion that is to say, I have everything under control, but at the same time, you have nothing under control. And how you turn that into energy and power, right? How to become a radically decisive and accurate person in everything you do. What happens is that we've always told ourselves, and life has taught us, that we have to be prepared for every scenario. Yes, but in every scenario, you have to give it your all. And that's when you say, but how can I give it my all if I don't know what might happen? You have to give it your all, but always aligned with the understanding that what you're doing is part of the order in which you are currently at this very moment manifested, which means that everything happening right now is occurring under a divine plan, stronger than what you can see or farther than what you can see at this moment. And that what is happening to you right now is propelling you towards something much greater. The fact that I am here talking to you is the result of many good and bad things that have happened in my life. And at the time, you don't pay much attention to the good things that are happening. And for you, it's wonderful, but the bad things, you remember them with a lot of pain, with a lot of frustration, with a lot of anger, with a lot of negative feelings. But that is what has brought us to this stage in this moment, sharing this information with you. So when we get to chapter 20, chapter 28, with all the information I'm going to give you, remember it's on Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, you're going to bring two people, at least two people, to this space. And your conversation is going to be to tell them, and you're going to look for people who are going through difficulties. Beyond selling them a business, beyond selling them anything you're offering, what you're really going to do is find that person who right now might be in a tough situation, facing a difficulty, and who may be hard to reach. But in the conversation you had today, which was recorded, which you're going to listen to again, you'll take that information and bring it into the room. When you bring it into the room without any need or intention at all to sell them anything, but simply to say, I understand. I understand what you're going through. I know it. I'm familiar with it. And I don't want you to get rid of it. I'm not going to give you the solution. I want you to take that chaos you're in right now and turn it into an opportunity. Would you like to learn how to do that? Who's going to say no to you? Tell me, who's going to say no to you? I mean, really finding people with problems. Do you think that's hard? Not just financial problems, but all kinds of problems. Social, romantic, family related people in all sorts of situations. And you're going to say to them, I'm going to show you how I took the chaos in my life or the chaos that was happening to me at that time and turned it into an opportunity, turned it into strength. How so? What's it about? Wait, no, don't tell me this is just some cheap psychology talk, right? He says, no. I'm telling you that I'm part of a movement where we embrace chaos and turn it into an opportunity. So how about that conversation? How about that conversation? Where what we basically do is reinforce this knowledge, reinforce this idea, and turn it completely into a wonderful situation. You say, I love the rhetoric of the speech. Of course, I mean, that's basically it. No, it's not about trying to cover up your failure. No, it's not about saying nothing is happening in my life. No, no, no. It's about facing it head on. Yes, confronting it without any excuses. Taking fear and turning it into dormant potential. Turning it into a unique strength that no one out there has. Remember the story I told you about the bicycle? I was exhausted, but that anger I felt from having done nothing, I still feel that anger. Just imagine the feeling it still gives me. I still feel frustration, but I remember that when that happened to me, I made it in 45 minutes and my legs couldn't go any further, but at that moment they did. That's when I took that and turned it into strength. That's what we need to do. And that's what we need to teach people so that the problem that's happening will give you a bigger boost to the purr. That's why people, there's a book about that, right? That says, why do bad things happen to good people? Because those of us who are in the midst of chaos are the ones who grow the most. So from this moment on, you really don't have to run away from chaos. You have to feel fortunate for what is happening to you. And sometimes you have to give that chaos a little push. You have to make it stronger. You have to make it spicier, right? Let's see what's being said over here. Catherine says, Juan, while I was admitted to a rest clinic for depression, panic attacks, and anxiety, I was very afraid to be there in that place. I didn't understand why I had ended up so far. I was just looking for help, and God put me in that place. In my desperation, in that chaos, I decided to turn everything into an opportunity. Of course, after being really angry with God for about 4 days. But in prayer, I decided to help my companions. And then God allowed me to meet people who are here with me today. I understood, Juan, that in the midst of difficulties where the best opportunities are found. You came into my life during another cycle of my chaos. But now, with what you teach us, I can understand the reason and the unconscious mission. Now I see that when the unconscious mission, now I see that when I've been at my worst is when I've gained the most strength. Everything in my life has a supernatural purpose. I still have a long way to go. I live in constant improvement, but day by day I'm putting together my own puzzle. I can't speak because I've lost my voice. Perfect. That's what I've been trying to tell you all. Perfect. Catherine has summed it up in an incredible way. That's what I want to teach you in this space. That's what I want us to take in and embrace. So I'm going to read the text so you can analyze the information I gave you there. Because from that point on, with this, I'll close this session. From there, with that, you're going to come on Wednesday with 2 people. Bring 2 people, 2 people. 2, no more. May your life be in chaos. Do you know them? Do you think there's anyone out there whose life is in chaos? Just imagine. And your conversation isn't going to be, hey, I have the solution for you. No, 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 no. Would you like to be part of a movement where we embrace chaos, where we take chaos and turn it into an opportunity? What's it about? Listen closely. There are voices that don't seek to please, but to awaken. There are leaders who don't come to organize, but to tear down self-deception. Because there's a brutal truth. Perfect order sometimes only hides a slow death. We live dreaming of someday, trapped in routines that numb our souls, postponing decisions, silencing our voice, bargaining with fear, as if we had infinite time. But chaos has a virtue. It forces us to choose, to act, to be real. It's true. When chaos arrives, you have to decide. You don't have time to think it over. Chaotic leadership doesn't seek approval. It doesn't lead from comfort, but from a truth that burns. It's a voice that shatters mirrors, that doesn't cover up failure, that confronts you with all your excuses and all your fears, with all that dormant potential that never comes out because you're waiting to feel ready. Our mind, as many people have shown throughout time, naturally tends to repress what deeply hurts us, to carefully hide what we keep inside, to subtly disguise every problem and gradually turn it into a rational excuse, often without us even realizing it. And that's very true. It's like, I'm this way because this happened to me. It's just that. It's just that. No, it's just that, look, since so much has happened to me, many times the fear of judgment, of what others will say, of failure, or of losing control, keeps us from realizing that we are embedded in an ecosystem. You're stuck there in a circle and you can't get out. And from there, your decisions are being governed and you are being controlled. You're in control, but without direction right now. You're trying to fit into the world, but the invitation is for you to stop fitting in, to stop trying to be a normal person. With all your chaos, come and conquer. Chaotic leadership forces you to confront those unconscious mechanisms that control you. It pulls you out of the comfort of feeling good. I'm not inviting you to feel good or to please the world. I invite you to push yourself with all your crap, whatever you've got, and lead yourself. Leadership takes all your impulses, all your fears, all your desires, which are sometimes contradictory desires, where you don't even know which way you want to go. And take all of that and turn it into courage, turn it into strength. Because your constant conversation, what you need to focus on is that time is not going to wait for you. Life is not going, so it's not going to apologize to you for running you over while you were busy planning everything perfectly. You are not here to do what's right. You are here to leave a mark, to leave a crack in the world. Because someone was here who did not negotiate their purpose. Your purpose has to be clear. What do you want to achieve? And you are going to break those mental chains you have, embrace the chaos, and do it now. Right? How about that? Ladies and gentlemen, this is chapter 1 of Chaotic Leadership. We're going to be working on the Tuan. And chapter 2 is titled End. You're going to invite them to, if you can bring more than 2, bring them. But chapter 2 is called Break the Cage of Order. Ready? Chapter 1 is the introduction to chaotic leadership, but chapter 2 is Break the Cage of Order. Remember that you are going to be a participant, an owner of this book. Your book, your name is going to be written in this book. Remember that we have 2 books, right? They're already at the publisher. And this third one is a book that we're going to write in the next 30 days with all the conversation I just gave you. And you're going to help me write chapters 29 and 30 with your team, okay? Break the cage of order. And that's where we're going to start working from. Truly, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to everyone who stayed here until the end. That's what you said, Martin. It's interesting. Leaders, a topic where the phoenix rises from the ashes, and that carries a deep reflection. Great, really great. Thank you very much. Catherine says, this is true. They already call me crazy and I don't care. Now I answer them, you don't know who I am. And every time they laugh at me, I laugh along with them. For the victimization, there's always plenty of time for that. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you for being here, truly. Thank you for joining me. I invite you to join me for the second chapter and bring 2 people. Don't leave. I mean, you have to, even if you all get together there and connect however you can, just make sure you come to this space. To you, Johanna, thank you so much. To you, Jennifer, Catherine, Martin, to everyone. Thank you truly for being here. Jose, thank you so much for being here. Charito, amazing, really awesome. The people from Luxembourg, super cool. Alfonso over here as well, awesome. Who else is here? Elizabeth, Samantha, everyone. Blanca, perfect, awesome. Stuart, of course. Janet, Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in chapter 2, which will be this Wednesday. Take care and see you soon. Take care. Thank you, truly. Bye.